Hello everybody, this is Maniac for Bricks, and I am here today with another LEGO Thoughts video. I know it's been some time since I've made my last LEGO Thoughts videos, and I figured it's time that I catch up on things. I know there's been a lot of LEGO news for 2015 going around, and I wanted to try to catch up with it, but also give some of my own opinions of what the sets look like, and how I think they might do without actually owning the sets. So first, we'll take a look at the Mixels. These have just been released not too long ago, and thank you to 3Brick Friends for telling me this info. I'm checking all of these pictures out on brickset.com, and he's already published a video reporting all of the images of these Mixel figures. These are from Series 4, so we have a brand new series, and that gives us 9 more of them to look at. So we'll take a look at each one at a time. And I'm going to check the first one to see if we have any more information than what is shown about the Mixel. So it appears not. I was wondering if it had anything about prices or number of pieces, but it doesn't seem like we're getting it that way. The first Mixel we'll take a look at is called Boogly. 41535 is the set number. And this one is from a new tribe called the Glowkeys. Now, from what I've seen on 3Brick Friends video, which shows the packaging for these, each of these Mixels in the Glowkeys tribe has glow-in-the-dark elements. And I think that's going to be a cool additional function for these Mixels. Something that might attract them a little bit more to, for people to buy them. So, looking at this one specifically, I kind of like the way that it's designed because it's very new. It's different than some of the other ones we've seen in the past. You can also recognize a few different pieces that are used for this Mixel, such as the kind of a boat-shaped piece for the jaw, and we also have a beanie cap that's used for its eyebrow, or something like an eyebrow. We also have these claw pieces from Spider Bites and some of the Chima figures that is used for some kind of horns, I believe. And we also have some rows of teeth, some good depth to the mouth area, which seems to move. We also get to see the ball joints of the feet in the back seem to move as well. And the front feet actually remind me a little bit of a frog. So I like the variety with this one, and it seems to have a couple interesting ways of posing. So I like how this looks so far, and I also like the fact that this is in navy blue, a color we have yet to see from the Mixels theme. So correct me in the comments if I make any mistakes on any of these Mixels, or if I mentioned some previous ones, just correct me about that, because I like the Mixels, but I haven't collected them all yet, and I'm not too familiar with some of them. And you know why I haven't collected all of them, other than interest and budget. I also noticed that throughout 2014, the Mixels only come in waves and they don't return. That is kind of like the collectible minifigure series, and I'm not really a fan of that, especially, for the Mixels. I don't mind if it's for the collectible minifigs. But I'm going to estimate that all these 2015 Mixels are about $5 each, as they usually are in 2014 Mixels. And they could probably range about 50 pieces or so. Next one we have to look at is set number 41534, which is called Vampos. And obviously, by the name as well as the shape, you can tell it's something of a bat or a vampire, maybe a little bit of both. Well, it's almost the same. So we have a couple interesting features of this one. It's kind of it has a very skinny body, first of all, that on it, you get to see these wings pop out, which are from the Chima line, and they can move up and down. The head seems to be somehow connected so it could turn, but I'm not exactly sure how it can turn. But it is a very interesting, and from the looks of the image, a very thick head. So I'm wondering how that contrasts with the body. Hopefully it's not too big compared to the body. I mean, yeah, it's a cartoon, but, the body looks a little bit too much on the thin side compared to the rest of it so far. There's also some glow-in-the-dark elements, including the eyes, and I think these pieces on the ends. It's a little hard to see in this image, though. You can also see those glow-in-the-dark elements on the feet, and Boogly has the same kinds, except he has just the one eye in the middle. That's his glow-in-the-dark element, other than these smaller feet pieces. He also has movable feet, which is nice to see. And I do like getting the ball joints, especially with the 2x2 modified plate and the ball end showing. That I actually like to get. So this one looks very interesting for a figure, and also has the large teeth. Um, I think it's kind of funny and kind of interesting to look at. Next up, we have set number 41533. And this one is called Globert, because they're glow keys, so might as well make one that's named Globert. And this one is a little bit like a bat in the same way as the other one. A little different, though. I do like the monstrous look of this one. I also noticed right away the eye area seems to be made out of two pieces. This one is made out of a large round dish underneath, and it also has a smaller dish, well, more of a round tile on top. The round tile seems to be a newer version in which the bottom end will have a round attachment, much like you'll see some of the newer pizzas have that look on the bottom of them. And it also has a giant eye and pupil. This piece is most likely going to be glow in the dark, just telling by the color of it compared to white. And also these pieces on the bottom may be glow in the dark as well. This one has an interesting body in which, the body is mainly the head and like a SpongeBob figure, or some of the other Mixels that we've seen so far. This one looks like it can have a biting action, which is neat for, the way this is developed. And it also has moving wings. I really like the wings on this one because it has the classic form of wings that we've seen all the way back in the castle sets. Like not the really vintage castle sets, but some around the time of the First Knight's Kingdom, Fright Nights, and other similar castle type themes in that time period, mostly in the 90s to early thousands. So it is cool to see these return with this figure, and in a navy blue color, which is new. They also have, again, the moving feet. So it seems with all the glow keys, they have the same similar, or at least very similar, feet movements and style of the feet, whereas the bodies have drastic changes. So next we'll take a look at the Infernites. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we already have Infernites in 2013? So does that mean that there are more to the same tribe? So the first one we'll take a look at is 41532. This one is named Bernard. And it's actually funny because Bernard is a real name, but they changed it so that the first part is the word burn, as in fire. Now, aside from the name, this one actually looks pretty cool as a figure in the way that the pieces are used. I noticed with this one right away, the eyes are actually made out of the new bowl-shaped pieces that we've seen for some of from sets like the Flying Flusher or the Parisian Restaurant or Mia's Lemonade Stand in 2014. These are the same types of pieces, from those sets, but in red, which is not exactly new, but it is nice to see it again and in a cheaper set. We also have the eyeballs from 2014 as well. These are the ones we've seen on figures like they're the very round eyeballs, and obviously we'll have one way to look. So looks cool that way. I also noticed with this figure, he seems to be breathing fire in an interesting build in the middle of his body, and the head can move back and forth. The arms can also move from side to side, and the legs have some posability as well. This one looks like an interesting figure for a new idea, although a little bit creepy to me, but I'd still appreciate the building effort. Next up, we have set number 41531, and this one is called Flameser. This one has a couple different appendages on its body, in that it has 4 legs that move independently, and 2 small arms, I'm assuming, And it also has what appears in the back to be some sort of flaming tail. Very interesting form for the figure, and I guess this part on the top can move a little bit up and down, so it doesn't have a full up and down jaw. I'm okay with that actually, because seeing that on so many Mixels so far, including the ones from 2015 that we've looked at, it can kind of get a drag, to have every single Mixel as chomping. So with this one, it seems very thin on the body. It is using a couple interesting parts. Not as interesting as others, though. This might be one of the later ones that I'll pick up if I pick them up, because it's not as exciting as far as the parts go. Although I will have to say a few parts in here are exciting. These kind of dark red pieces, I'm not really sure if they're really dark red. It seems a little bit off from that color, and correct me in the comments if you know any better about the color. Next up, we have 41530, and this one is called Meltus. Obviously, again, a play on words with fire words like melt, and the last one being flame. So this one seems to have an interesting body. It almost reminds me of a dinosaur, and I think that's the first thing that I might like about it. Its shape, and what I noticed with this one, it has some moving arms, but the wrists are horizontal, so it can hold on the same way if you were to have a minifigure hold onto a bike. And that's also the same way that Bernard is actually shown. He also has a tail in the back, a nice red tail, which I don't know if it's been made before, but I definitely haven't seen it in a long time. I also noticed for the head, it's a pretty good build. I really like how the head is built on this one, and even without the new teeth pieces, you still get the idea across with these round round plates. And you also have the nice little bracket piece used here for the nose, so you have the idea that he's breathing fire. Again, my thought of it being a dragon or a dinosaur probably is correct. We also see on the back this little hinge, so you can know that the head moves up and down. How far, though, I'm not sure, since there is a little bit of an obstruction in the back area. And we can also see that there are some interesting pieces used for the eyebrows. These, again, I don't know if I've seen them in a recent Lego set, but it's definitely been some time, and I don't know if it's even been in that color. On the feet, it's pretty plain, but they do still have the same ball joints that are used with Bernard. This is a pretty cool looking figure, and I think it might be the first or second one from the Infernites that I would want to pick up. I do not know for any of these Mixels which ones do or don't have the Nixel characters with them, and I also don't know what the Nixel characters look like. I would hope that they're varied from their 2014 appearances, but I don't know which ones have them. And usually you don't know until somebody reviews it, or if there's already an inventory for it on sites such as Bricklink or Brickset. Those would normally tell you before you buy the set what the Nixels look like, and also what sets they appear in. So next we're looking at a very out of this world type of Mixel series. This tribe seems to be something from outer space, according to the packaging, again shown on the Three Brick Friends news page. Now, the first one we have is 41529 NERP Nod. And I'm not really sure how the NERP applies, but I definitely know NUAT is similar to the word we know as astronaut, which means star sailor, I believe. Now, anyways, putting the astronomy aside for a minute, this is a pretty interesting looking figure, and from what I can tell on this one, I like the round plate that is used here, and I'm not sure if it's in a white or if it's in a tan, because it seems a little bit offset in color here. I would also say the same for the round tile that is used, and I would like to think that from the other side, it may be using two eyes, but I would also think that maybe it could be one with one eye. I'm hoping for two, though, because it is a unique piece, and it would be nice to get two in this set. What I notice about the way that this photo is taken, it has a rounded sort of feel to the round plate. And that means we have some kind of globish piece put around on the outside a trans-clear piece that may be hard to see in photography. But it is a nice piece to have, and from the looks of it, we may be getting two of them in this set. And it's something exciting to see in a small set. Now, with this figure, we notice a color scheme that's different from the others. This one has elements of white, lime green, and a little bit of yellow, other than the standard dark bluish gray, light bluish gray, and black, which are, of course, going to be in these figures. This one seems to have a little jetpack on the back of it, and I like the way that this one is, kind of built on the bottom. It is interesting. It also has some shorter feet on it, because somebody has to have them in the Mixels series. But unfortunately, it's for this guy. I'm not really a fan of them, personally, when they have these very short feet. It makes it hard to pose, or very limited to pose. I also like these little red beams, or flashing lights, I suppose, on the side of its head. I'm presuming this is some sort of helmet for this figure. In fact, the other ones in this tribe, called the Orbitrons, are also carrying some sort of globe piece around their heads. Like this one, for example, set number 41528, Nixput. Hey, if you're in astronomy class like I am, you definitely know what that name means. That's definitely a twist around of the name Sputnik, the first satellite that was sent into space by Russia in the I want to say early 60s or late 50s. I'm not entirely sure. But a cross between history and astronomy has taught me that little fact, and now I taught it to you. So for this figure, now talking about the figure. So for this figure, we're noticing an interesting design. It almost seems like it's trying to be a spaceship. We have all these interesting wings on the side with some flashing lights, as if it was trying to find a way to fly into space. It also has a piece of a flame on the back, so it has some sort of propulsion. It also has, again, a globish piece around the eyeball, and this one is more of a 2x2x2 globish piece in trans-clear. This one only has one eye, and it has some sort of fin on the top of its head. The mouth can move around, as I mentioned before about Mixels that move mouths, and this one has some horizontal clips for its hands. I like how the ball joints work with this one, although they are kind of small. It still works in which you could pose it different ways. I'm wondering how these arms will work, though, in terms of posability. It seems kind of limited as far as, how far back and out you can stretch the wing-shaped arms that he has. But it is a cool-looking figure, and probably worth picking up. I wouldn't even think about picking up Nerpnot as one of the first or second, especially for the head-type pieces. And then the last one we have is 41527, and this one, if you can't tell by the name, is obvious to a space reference. Rocket, like a rocket being shot into space. So this one has an interesting body type in which it has the minifigure head type eyes. These are minifigure heads that are printed with eyepieces, much like the first Mixel that we saw in the beginning of this video. This one also has some sort of brain or operations up here. It has a similar build to the eye around Nerpnot. This one has the round plate, and you can see a little bit better this trans-clear dome piece. This one has a lot of lime green on it, which I really like. I always like getting more of the lime green on these figures. And we also have some sort of flame on the back. I also noticed that in its hands, it has some sort of lasers. I'm not sure if it's going to shoot the lasers, or if it's using them to ski, or if it's like Majesto from the Magicians, if it's going to use it as a magic trick. It could do a whole bunch of things. It is a little bit more limited on terms of moving around and things. It seems like Nerpnot, going back to him again, might be able to turn his head around, and this one, it doesn't move its jaw, it doesn't move its head really. All the posability and playability would be in the limbs, but still looks interesting. And I actually don't like how these are put inward, unless again it has some more meaning to it. If they were just the hands and this was something holding onto the hands, you know, I would have preferred this clip to be more on the outside over here. So that way you can move around the arms better and have a better sense of, using the figure. So these Mixels so far looked pretty interesting for Series 4. I would have to say some of my more favorite ones are from the Glow Keys and the Infernites. As far as the Orbitrons, they do have an interesting topic and element involved, but there's only very little that I like about their newer pieces or even some of the playability with them. The other guys seem to really carry it well. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll try to make more LEGO Thoughts videos in the future and try to sum up my thoughts quicker. That way you can watch more of the videos at a time. I'll try to do this one theme at a time per video, so that way you can find it more easily when you're searching my channel. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time with more LEGO videos.